So, I'm sure many of us are aware of EFAP's disdain towards the MCU throughout phases 4 and 5, and we're soon entering phase 6. And I totally get it because most of it has been really bad, even worse than many of the bad movies in earlier phases. But for some reason, EFAP has this weird exception for Spider-Man No Way Home, and before people say that I'm responding to a stream from 4 years ago, I do want to mention that they still stand by No Way Home not being a bad movie, judging by how they still give it around a 5 out of 10 when they covered Daredevil Born Again, and even restating how it's the best since Endgame on their Fantastic Four stream.
It's probably gonna suck, the next season is probably gonna suck because Marvel can't make good shows and movies. Why would we act like any of the upcoming projects are going to be good when for the last 4 years they've released like 15 films and TV shows that are all terrible? Like, the best one is No Way Home, and it's not great. Like, it's got lots of problems.
5. Yeah.
Like, at
great
best.
stuff, terrible stuff.
Yeah, with the way that generally it's been going for Marvel movies, if you get a 4 out of 10, you're like doing really well. By phase 4 and 5 and now 6 MCU standards, the general scores have oscillated between like 1, 2, and 3 for basically, with the exception of No Way Home, which this does not beat.
If you want to hear my reasons for why No Way Home is really bad, I have a video on my channel that I'll link in the description. I imagine a lot of you have seen it by now, but I'm still interested in breaking down their defenses they've given on their stream. Now, it's possible that they don't stand by some of these, but it still seems like to this day, they still stand by their overall conclusion, that this movie's around a 5 out of 10, and that it has really good character work in spite of the flawed plot and world building.
Fuck, there's all these people that I still want to know. Like, he didn't know this was happening. Doctor Strange went way too fast. I don't blame him. And the idea that it's like, you're disrupting the spell. It's like, yeah, I'm disrupting the fucking spell. Are you kidding me?
I don't want you to cast it. I
Why
want these
not
people
just
to
say
remember
stop?
me.
Why not just say stop? Stop for a minute.
Well, I don't
All right,
understand
here's what I want.
Well, you also
And
have to
then I'll
remember,
start
I
up
feel,
again.
I don't know, just ask him to stop the spells a little bit much.
I think
Because
that,
he doesn't know
But
the
talking
spell.
through it and changing it completely, that's fine.
Yeah.
Not
He
telling
wants
him
to
to
change
stop
it
completely.
completely.
He
for a
seems
minute.
intimidated by Strange as it is.
So let me get this straight. According to these guys, Peter can't tell Strange to stop casting the spell if it's so dangerous to the fabric of reality to change it because he's afraid of Doctor Strange, which is why they're arguing in favor of Peter constantly changing the spell against Strange's wishes and constantly annoying him with it, despite knowing this could endanger the fabric of reality, as opposed to telling him to stop and start over. I guess Peter could never tell someone he's nervous around to stop doing something.
Don't tell Aunt May.
Oh wait, he could when he was years younger.
Yeah.
I completely
Yeah, he wants
understand
to
him
change
choosing to ask for
Like, Strange is
edits.
pretty
I
authoritative.
don't know why you're laughing at the notion that he would be intimidated by Doctor Strange.
Because he's so scared that he won't tell him to stop and restart, despite the risk to the fabric of reality of constantly changing it, but at the same time, he's confident enough to knowingly annoy him with all of the edits to the spell.
Okay, now we've just started casting this crazy super duper spell, and now you've told me something that's kind of shocking. Like, I don't know that you immediately are gonna make like the best decision in terms of okay, stop. Like, because you kind of want some, I don't know why you're laughing at that.
why are you fucking Joker laughing?
In Spider-Man Far From Home, he realized that Mysterio was a fraud and that he entrusted him with an army of killer drones. Immediately after realizing this, he tells MJ and interrupts her questions immediately so they can act fast. He takes control of the conversation when he's shocked by a realization and is aware of imminent danger now. Peter is not supposed to be a moron just because he gets shocked by something, so why can't he simply tell Strange to stop and start over? It's not that Peter has to make the best decisions possible, it's that he would try to make the best decisions possible. He would want to get Strange to stop the spell and prevent the risk of billions of lives in this reality, but he doesn't even try to account for the danger he's putting reality in by making constant changes.
Does he even know if it could be stopped midway?
I don't know
know
that
that?
he knows.
I don't know that, yeah. He's
Maybe he should ask instead of doing the thing that Strange says could endanger reality.
and he's
Like,
panicking.
he doesn't,
Yeah, like,
he
how
doesn't
does he
say,
even know if it
doesn't say
can be
stop.
dropped?
He voices his immediate concern, right?
It says,
Which
yeah,
I think
change
is a very
the-
natural thing to do when
Yeah.
it's like,
If Strange tells him that changing the spell is dangerous, then his immediate concerns would include the changes to the spell. Unless you're telling me he isn't concerned with the fabric of reality being destroyed.
You're saying the lives of a billion strangers are more important than my loved ones?
I was confused on why Electro was there, though. Did he ever
Well,
know
don't-
Spider-Man?
well, wait.
Um,
Don't you know?
Well, so this
he
might,
did think he was
right?
black, to be fair.
Nice
No.
one.
it might be worthwhile. There's actually probably a few things. Maybe this would be an opportunity to note that the information that the villains have access to seems to be conflicting. Like, did Doc Ock know that Norman was Green Goblin? Did he know that?
He must have known that, right? No, wait, was that public?
Did he? Why would no?
I don't think that
remember
was public
remember
knowledge.
Peter, don't tell Harry. That was the big secret.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
That-
I guess.
that
He
Norman
didn't
was-
tell Harry. He told the news organizations. It's,
You know,
it's a workaround. It's
So there's that, and
it's
you're
like
right,
we're not going to kill
Electro-
Paul per se.
And I mean, it's you've just brought it up, right? Electro didn't know that Peter was Spider-Man. That was something that Harry in that universe didn't know yet either.
Are we
he found
supposed
it
to
out
then
after Electro
assume
being killed?
that these aren't from the places that we know them, specifically the places? They're from alternate versions.
I feel like
Come on, dude. The actors are all the same. The characters directly reference moments in their respective movies. It's the exact same reasoning we would use to conclude that Captain America the Winter Soldier is in fact a continuation of the first Avenger and the Avengers, or that Loki in the TV show is taken from the end of the Avengers. I didn't see anyone defend that show by saying, well actually, this Loki is from a universe where similar events as Endgame took place, but it's not exactly the same, so we can excuse Loki's character inconsistencies. I'm sorry, but stop playing dumb. You know exactly what they're going for.
I feel like that's not what we were. I think I was going to
Yeah,
think
I
that
was
at
supposed to
first
assume that.
until we saw that Electro was blue and then got converted into like little, or normal Electro. I think that was meant to be like, no, these
Yeah.
are from. They're from like the other Spider-Man films in canon.
I don't know.
Maybe
why,
not,
why
though.
would that
Maybe then
be?
what?
Because they're going to be close. So if the idea is that they are from universes that are what we saw in those movies, but variations, and stuff like that would still carry over, right?
Why would they write an explanation for Electro going from blue to yellow if he was just a variant? If he's a variant, the explanation is now a waste of time. Why not just make him yellow from the start so we would assume he's not branching off from the Amazing Spider-Man 2? He's a variant after all, right? So why explain it?
I'm going to question the narrator. Why do we think the Doctor Strange is 100% correct about the nature of the
True.
spell having gone wrong?
Oh, true.
He says everyone's getting drawn in who knows who you are. When it's like, could it be something else? Could it just be people who are related to versions of Peter in any way?
Could it be something else that this movie never tells us about because the master of the mystic arts can't correctly recount what his own spell has done? Or is it the more likely option, being that this is bad writing and that the writers were not careful with verifying the information from the other movies? You're inventing a headcanon to defend bad writing. Doctor Strange is not an unreliable narrator. He's the master of the mystic arts. The exposition we're given is to tell the audience why these villains are here. And we know for a fact that Doctor Strange is correct because the solution to the villains being here is for them to forget Peter Parker, someone Electro didn't even know when he entered the MCU. Not to mention that the big conflict in the story relies on them sharing universes. Sandman gives a timeline of events that aligns with the Raimi movies, which is how Peter finds out that Norman and Otto are going to die. How could he possibly connect the dots unless there's a clear connection there? This conclusion relies on the shared timeline of the villains dying in the Raimiverse.
Well, I think that makes sense.
While I think we're probably supposed to buy Strange's explanation,
Well,
Strange isn't omniscient
sorry.
within the universe, so like it is completely plausible
Well,
that he's wrong.
here's your big counter. Venom in
Yeah,
the
Venom is-
Sony movies has no idea who Peter is because
Yeah.
like there are no superheroes as far as we're aware in that universe.
Maybe you should watch Venom 2 before making any definitive statements about its universe, because the end credit scene literally tells you that Venom has hive mind knowledge across universes, and there are definitely versions of Venom who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
80 billion light years of hive knowledge across universes. That guy.
Am I the only one who did the reading?
Some people saying that's right in the movie. It's literally not. Whether Strange is wrong is up to us. We got the content, decide.
Because the context would seem to indicate
Yeah,
that
so
whatever
like
he
we
said
don't
isn't
add
true.
anything there to the story.
No.
There's like like you can interpret any line of dialogue as not true. Like
That is just insane cope. You are met with concrete, undeniable proof that this movie has inconsistent writing from the universes it's pulling from. So to counter this very obvious problem, you've randomly decided that the exposition given to explain basic plot details is simply untrue. Just to reconcile something not making sense. I can understand having different interpretations of something that is more interpretable and less explicit, but this right here is literally denying what the movie is saying just so the writing looks okay.
obviously
And if you interpret, you have to give evidence. Well, that is the evidence. The people who didn't know
I
his
think they've
identity are
forgotten.
there.
You guys have to counter it, and good luck with that. Because there's nothing in the film that can counter it other than,
In
well,
both
Doctor Strange
cases-
said it.
And he was proven right by the end of the movie.
Am I the only one who did the reading?
Forgetting Peter Parker, the side of Spider-Man that Electro does not know about, is what sent everybody home. You are wrong. You are wrong. Just say, I am wrong.
I don't know why people are so averse to that with how much of a fucking moron he is in this film. Like,
Strange being a moron is inconsistent writing.
Apparently, he has access to the multiversal hive mind, so Venom transcends all universes. Okay.
Okay, is that in the movies
Is that a
though?
comic book thing? That doesn't
I
sound like
think that you're talking about comic books.
That's what I
Well,
was
apparently
trying
it's
to
from
get at,
Venom
yeah.
2. People are saying that it's in Venom 2.
Really?
This chat just showed you that it's full of people ready to do the reading.
That would still be Electro then. I feel like Electro is still the one. He didn't know. He definitely didn't know. Unless I'm
Yeah, he
forgetting
thought
something.
Spider-Man was black.
so all we have to do to counter the idea is like, you're writing for the writer. It's like, well, you're writing for the writer too.
No, we're not. We're taking the writers at their word and forming our conclusions based on that. You've decided that the exposition is false for no reason whatsoever.
I feel like people just get the sense that, oh, we're supposed to believe Doctor Strange, and therefore that's like just reading authorial intent into the work. That's not the same as it being written into the work. That's your interpretation.
I guess what I would say though, to give the counter argument a little bit more credence, is if you are writing this story, you should probably keep that in mind and think about other alternatives that you have to avoid this kind of confusion.
That's pretty much what Jay just said, though. Like, it doesn't matter at this point because we're just talking about what it is now. We're not talking about the creation of it.
But but what I'm saying is that I would advise somebody, if they were writing a story and this was part of it, to think about that and whether there are other ways.
There is so much already that we've covered that requires more clarity, but we have to deal with what we've got.
Well, yeah, but all I'm saying is if somebody was writing a story and they had this kind of thing presented as like a potential problem, a potential reading that people might have, it's like, maybe think about other options that you have in terms of getting this across, you know?
I'm assuming they thought it explains everything and moved on. They didn't think about how it doesn't make sense with several of the people who are here.
Well, you're wrong, because the official script they released shows us that the writers directly wrote that these villains are from the movies. I'll read them off right now. Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, in all of his Spider-Man 2 glory. Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, from Spider-Man. It's Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church, from Spider-Man 3. Lizard, Rhys Ifans, from The Amazing Spider-Man. Electro, Jamie Foxx, from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. His spectral form at the movie's end.
How do you feel about everybody saying, so it is bad writing then? Because a lot of people are saying
well,
that.
this one guy is repeating it over and over again. That doesn't make it true.
Oh, it's one, but no, it's a couple of people.
No, I didn't deny that. I'm saying there is one guy repeating it over and over again. So inference is a huge part of storytelling. If you want to call it inferring stuff bad writing, then I got bad news for you about a lot of films.
We can use basic inferences to understand how event A resulted in event B, but you can't just infer that basic exposition is incorrect if it is shown to be correct through the events in the story. It'd be one thing if their inference was possible and probable, but not explained too well in the story. I can get behind it not being an inconsistency, but rather a detail that should have been explained better. I can meet people halfway on this stuff. But not only is what they're saying not explained at all, but it doesn't even make sense. Because if people can show up to the MCU by simply knowing Spider-Man and not Peter Parker, then making everyone forget Peter Parker shouldn't have been a solution.
Yeah, I mean,
like there's a
everyone's very
spectrum of
desperate to
writing
describe it as
quality,
bad
right?
writing. I'm not seeing many arguments there.
Am I the only one who did the reading?
Here's something to think about, because at the end of the movie, the concern is specifically everybody from every universe who knows that your Spider-Man is coming, and the way to stop that is to delete the existence of Peter Parker. Does that not mean that what he said is true?
Well, would it not also apply if it's simply to do with the relation to this Peter's being Spider-Man?
What the hell?
This literally defeats your entire argument. It proves that Doctor Strange is right.
There are an infinite number of people who know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. If that spell gets loose, they're all coming here.
I mean, if it's literally just madness, or in the case of Doc Ock, it's mind control, basically, that's making him kind of go evil. What about Electro? You just took away his powers. If you took away the gun from his active shooter, does that make him good now? No, he's still a bad person. You just took away his power.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
It means he
Why are you
doesn't
saying
necessarily
thank
have
you?
to die when he goes back.
Because that's right. Yeah, he didn't.
So let me,
The only ones he psychologically
I mean,
changed was Norman at the end.
I've seen TASM 2, and I can explain that if Electro doesn't have his electric powers, he is inert. He's done.
Yeah, all that happens to him
That
when he
doesn't
gets
make him not bad.
Okay,
you
so
saying that he gets made not bad.
So you're saying he must die? What are you suggesting?
Nobody said anything about how Electro deserves to die. The argument being made is that taking his powers shouldn't make him not bad anymore, which is true. This is a big problem with the payoffs in this movie, which I talk about in more detail in my video, but I want to touch upon some of these examples. Electro has no reason to forgive his Spider-Man when he took the one thing that gave him self-worth, and then he praises what he does as Spider-Man when he believes he does this for attention. Peter didn't do anything to challenge his beliefs on that. Let's also not forget that he believes he fucking killed him.
Oh shit. I was about to die.
Norman Osborn, one of the most sadistic and spiteful villains, suddenly feels sad and regretful when he loses his powers.
I'm gonna finish her. Nice and slow.
Why not like that?
Except it's not the serum that made him evil, it was his actions. That's the difference between Norman and Harry. Norman and Harry both had voices in their head, instructing them to go to extremes to fulfill their personal desires. But Norman chose to listen to this because it granted him his wishes. He didn't want to seek help when he could have. Harry only listened until he realized he was working off faulty information, so he decided to be a hero in the end despite the serum. The serum doesn't make you evil, and I'm tired of No Way Home brainwashing people into thinking this.
Am I the only one who did the reading?
Imagine if they brought back Harry in this movie, gave him a cure, and Harry randomly decided that Spider-Man didn't kill his father because his powers are gone. That's so stupid. And that's what this movie did to several of these villains, which you can see me elaborate on in my video.
Because I believe the earlier conversation, and we're jumping around now, but a conversation when they basically they had the button, they're like, okay, press it if things go wrong. At what point did all the villains breaking loose and May dying?
She wanted to press it,
wrong?
if you remember, but they wanted Peter's go-ahead, and he didn't give it.
Peter said if something bad happens, then he wants the button pushed.
If something bad happens, I'll text you, and then you just push this, and then it's all over.
And MJ says she will push it if she hears nothing from Peter, and he agrees to it.
If I don't hear from you, I'm pressing the button.
Sure.
So MJ knows May died, and Peter didn't get back to her. Maybe it has to do with the fact that, I don't know, a bunch of supervillains are attacking him? So why didn't she push the button?
Holy fuck, does it make fun of the TASM films, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
First reference I'm thinking about is Electro sees Lizard, and he makes fun of him for his retarded motivation. And I was like, yes!
Yeah.
Want to turn everybody into Lizard.
You just argued that these villains aren't branching from their movies, but are rather variants that went through similar events, which means that this Lizard, who you are claiming is an entirely new character, has a stupid motivation by your own logic.
Good job.
I found that bringing like 4 or 5 supervillains who've already tried to attack you into your own secure condo, I obviously doesn't work out, but I found that incredibly naive.
Well, we had a conversation about this
We did.
the other day.
They have the kill switch and their motivation to stay alive and to go back to their worlds, so it seems to follow. And the threat of Doctor Strange as well.
The problem is that Peter can't act on the threat if he can't call MJ to push the button. His leverage is gone if the villains choose to attack him and hold them hostage. And even if he manages to contain them before having to push the button, this still puts anyone in this building at risk. This could also put Happy at risk, since they didn't warn him to stay away from his own apartment.
Because people in chat are saying, why would you bring them all at the same time? Because if you leave some of them there, what happens if Doctor Strange comes back?
And do what? Doctor Strange wants the box, not the villains. That's why he went after the box when fighting Spider-Man, not the villains.
Doesn't Doctor Strange? What does Doctor Strange do to them if he comes back and finds just a few of them in the cells? What's his plan going to be then?
Well, so the concern is that he'll kill them via sending them back in some way, shape, or form.
Which he needs the box to do. The box is holding the spell to begin with, which is his only way of sending them back home. Please explain to me how he'll get a hold of his corrupted spell without the box.
Does he not need the magic box to do that?
Well, he's Doctor Strange.
He might be able to do it one by one.
So we don't know if it's something else he could do about it. We don't know if, he would just straight up execute them at this point. We don't know.
That is so stupid. If he had a way to send the villains back one by one, don't you think he would have done it by now instead of wasting time fighting Spider-Man? Also, Doctor Strange isn't telling Peter to execute these villains. If that was a solution, he would have done that instead of fighting Spider-Man. He's telling them not to change their destiny because their sacrifice will mean something greater in their universes. So he wants things to play out the exact same way instead of just executing them. He doesn't even know which villains live or die. So why would he kill them? What if they're supposed to live in their respective timelines? And I like how they imply that Peter is scared that Doctor Strange can just do anything, so he didn't leave the villains in the prison, while simultaneously neglecting that by this shallow reasoning, Peter should also entertain that Doctor Strange could use his memory of Peter's face to open a portal next to him.
They were waiting on Peter's signal. They should have had a live stream of everything that went on in that condo. You know, we have cell phones, we have all this kind of stuff. And if anything went wrong, as soon as anything went wrong, hit the button. That's my take on it. Because how would they know it went wrong? They when the entire condo complex blew up, they still didn't press the button.
Still not sure that Peter would push the button when they all start breaking out. I'm not sure.
Even though that's what Peter explicitly said he would do if something bad happens. And even if Peter could contain the threat, he could make it a rule that they're not allowed to push the button until he says so in the call.
But he told him, push the button.
Yeah, he told him to do it once he sends them a text.
Oh my god, why have it be a text message instead of a call? Do you think he can just send a text message while villains are attacking him?
His motivation in this seems to be to prove that Peter doesn't want what he's actually doing here, and that he should actually take what he wants, which is to use the power he has to do whatever the fuck he wants. Because he actually, Green Goblin's under the impression that Peter's only doing what he does because of Aunt May. Like, she's got him in, I think he says, she suckered you into her moral mission. And obviously the gods, you should just take whatever you want. So he's trying to prove, much like he did in the first Spider-Man Raimi movie, you're not so different, you and I, you know?
But why would he do that? The reason he did that in the first Spider-Man movie was because he knew Spider-Man could defeat him, and because he believed he'd be more successful if they worked together.
There's only one who can stop us. Or imagine if he joined us.
He appeals to Peter's selfish desires because their shared power over people will lead to shared interests. In Spider-Man No Way Home, Norman tries to get Peter to literally kill him instead of working with him, even though Norman ultimately wants power above all else.
Bringing you what you've always wanted. Power beyond your wildest dreams.
These are not the same at all, because No Way Home misunderstood Norman's character.
There's a Joker element here, I think.
Yeah, he puts off of Joker vibes, sort of. I'm just sick of Joker, honestly. I do kind of just, I want more Green Goblin.
Green Goblin isn't the Joker. At least he's not supposed to be, but he behaves like him to a ridiculous degree in this movie, to the point of contradicting his core motivation.
Someone said they hated how Ned was able to open portals without training. He has to try quite a few times, and in Doctor Strange they do establish it's less to do with like some kind of mechanical muscle you're doing. It's more so, like, I can't remember what the Ancient One says specifically, but much more about wanting it.
She said you have to let go or something, right?
Yeah, because she puts him in like the Himalayas or some shit, so he has to open the portal to save his own life at that point. So that's how she gets him to do it. It's not like, you know, you're doing a punching bag for 10 weeks and then you can punch better. It's like literally just a matter of your mental state.
I guess you forgot the part where Mordo said you need to imagine every detail for the gateway to come.
Imagine every detail. Clearer the picture, quicker and easier the gateway will come.
Ned doesn't know Tobey or Andrew's versions of Peter Parker, so no, this shouldn't have worked. Unless saying someone's name is enough to track someone down, which wasn't established before.
Who could find Vision then?
According to the logic of the scene EFAP is defending and saying is so consistent with the rules of the MCU, Strange can find him by saying find Vision.
Someone said you're not actually arguing this point, are you? It's like rewatch Doctor Strange, bitch.
If you rewatch Doctor Strange, you'd realize why what you're arguing is stupid.
Well, it's worth remembering that portals seem to be like the easiest thing you can do as a magician, you know?
We see many students easily succeed at creating an earlier construct, while more people are struggling to create an actual gateway to complete the portal because this does require training and mastery. For most, this is just another day in class, which may not make them super motivated to get it straight away, which explains why many of them have orange circles but don't have the gateway completed, whereas Strange was thrown in a life or death scenario to push him to get it straight away. This was after Strange was given basic instructions, whereas Ned wasn't given any, and even if he was, he wouldn't have opened a portal to Tobey or Andrew.
Strange doesn't grab the cube when he puts Peter in the astral realm. He tries, it doesn't work.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Why doesn't he have the cloak wrap around the box to push the button by force, which we've seen him use on Thanos to prevent him from closing his fist?
I do get a sense of that with when I see people being like, wow, Longman should be tearing this apart, not praising it. I'm like, I think you may be mistaken on what you think are flaws in this film. I've heard a lot of mistakes from a lot of people.
Or they're simply noticing how you have inconsistent standards. It's funny because it really started to show over time, when you criticized Deadpool and Wolverine because Cassandra Nova can use portals without training, when that literally applies to Ned, who you defended. And Cassandra Nova can literally enter your mind.
I noted he had a trinket, a fun little device, and she pulls out a sling ring.
Remember when you had to train to use a sling ring? Now anybody could just use it.
Or how about when you insisted that Johnny Storm must be from the original Fantastic Four movies and couldn't be a variant, while defending the continuity problems in No Way Home by saying the villains are variants?
I think what you're meant to take away from the implication is that this is the same one in those movies.
Yeah.
So, like, you're talking about a character who actually has history in 2 movies. You might think they suck, because they got a lot of problems, but, like, still.
So what do you guys think of the criticism that they shouldn't have chosen the statue because it's made of copper and Electro would, like, fuck him up because of it?
Well, he didn't.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Guess.
It's not a problem that the 3 Spider-Men that are established to be very, very smart didn't account for Electro being able to do something because he didn't, I guess.
I guess that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I guess, well, Electro's a problem regardless.
So why not make it easier? That's the basis for criticizing the location.
It's complicated, because, like, Electro could theoretically zap them all, regardless of a giant copper thing.
But it wouldn't be as easy to do. That's the entire point.
How does he get caught and the arc reactor, or whatever it is called, taken from him if he can just
Well,
zap
Doc
away?
Ock gets him on surprise. Him grabbing it makes it so that the power level isn't currently, accessible, as it were, because he seems to be discomfited the second that it grabs it.
The arc reactor is still active, so he should be able to teleport away. And even if he couldn't, it doesn't matter because there's a much easier solution to this. Electro can just shoot Otto, and he's dead.
Like, you would never.
I feel like since he has no idea what's going on, he should be more worried and panicked when as soon as he steps out of the mirror dimension. Like, he thinks he needs to save the universe, like, right away.
Oh, well, he does grab the box, and it looks like he's ready to use it, and then he's told that Peter's cure plan is working, which is good news to hear when you have a panic in your right? Like, if someone says the plan is working, you'd be like, huh? What plan?
And then he sees that, yeah.
It doesn't matter if Peter's plan worked. Strange is not interested in Peter's plan because of the risk of the box being compromised, which almost happened considering how close the box is to the supervillains that Strange wants to send home. He should send them home immediately. Before Spider-Man gets a hold of the box again, he even says this needs to end now. So why didn't he just push the button straight away?
It's way more common to take a character you like and destroy them. We get that like 95% of the time. They managed to juggle all of... Fucking Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Toby, and Garfield. Like, any one of them just in this movie would have been a worry. We had all of them.
Are you sure?
EFAP not addressing any major problems is kind of tough to listen to.
We've addressed all the fucking major problems.
Are you sure?
That pretty much covers their defenses. I'm gonna say this right now, I really don't mind if you think this movie is good. I personally found it to be terrible, but as a wise, yet psychotic man once said,
Well, to each his own.
But what stands out to me specifically is how harsh I've seen EFAP towards many other projects, many of which don't fail their standard nearly as much as Spider-Man No Way Home should. I'm just confused as to how this is somehow the standout post-Endgame, when this is easily one of the worst stories in the MCU as a whole. Also, they think this movie is better than James Gunn's Superman, and that truly astounds me.
You're clowning. You're not clowning. I sense clowns.